Good morning, guys. I want to talk to you today about beginning bird watching. Now, Clay and I both have watched birds forever, but this year we're setting up some bird feeders. And one of the things that I liked about moving here to Red Creek in upstate New York was there are different types of birds here than what I experienced about an hour away. We have Lake Ontario, so we get some of the birds that go to the lake, as well as we're out in a farming community, so we have things like hawks. And we have seen, just in the last couple days, we saw a duck, we saw sparrows, starlings, grackles, let me trying to think what else we saw. We've seen, now we didn't see this year, but we've seen a blue herring before. Just all kinds of different birds. Now, if you are interested in bird watching, what you want to do is you want to get the types of food that those birds like. So some birds like sunflowers, some birds like insects and different types of things. And you also want to make sure that you get things that like different times of a bird's life. Like sometimes during their time after they have their babies, they eat more insects. So you might want to get like mealworms. It's just a lot of fun. Now this feeder here, we've had a few visitors, not masses, because we just set this feeder up. And this one, you can see a previous video how Clay made it. This is an umbrella stand like you'd get from a patio table on a pole. And then we put the feeders way high to keep cats and other critters from getting to it. So it's a nice way. Now, bird feeding really only got popular in the 1980s. Do you know what people used to do before then? They used to feed them scraps. Animal, like your dinner scraps. Now, I know my dad, years ago, used to feed, like, the animals, like, scraps from dinner. Like, not the animals, rather, I should say the birds scraps. Now, if you decide to do that, just make sure you know what you're feeding them. To make sure that, you know, like if you have some berries or things like that, you want to make sure you know what you're feeding them. But years ago, they didn't do the bird feeding. That became like a big hobby in the 80s. They had more of the, you know, people would have dinner, maybe put out their bird feed, but or their scraps. But you want to be careful with that because you can attract bad animals in doing that. You know, like foxes and possums and things like that. So it's nice to stick to the bird feed that you can get from the seed places, because you won't be attracting things you shouldn't. But look at, there's a little bird right now. Came over. He's not too worried. You can see how close we are to the traffic, but they still come around. Once they discover your feeder, which the birds have been coming around less than a week, once they discover the feeder, they start coming in more and more, and then different times of the year, they'll come out more and more and more. It's just a lot of fun. Now, we also have berry trees in our yard and trees over there to hide in. I used to have, in one of the places I had lived, I had a big, large hedge of trees. And I had like 31 cardinals that would come and just nest, and they would come to my feeders, and I used to love that. And so, you know, different types of birds are going to want the nesting around. They're going to want a place for water. We have little areas in our yard that they can drink water from. So if you want to start the birding hobby, it's a lot of fun. You can set up feeders. Some birds like blue jays and that, they like peanuts. So in the comments below, tell me some thoughts that you have about birds and what you feed them, what they like, what kind of birds you have around you. We are in upstate New York, so we get hawks, sparrows, starling, bluebirds. We get finches, just all kinds of things. So anyway, remember, big or small, you too could be a backyard farm. God bless.